Hey there, in this tutorial you're gonna learn how to create a stunning presentation right in PowerPoint. I'll show you how to use Morph transition to add this nice animation effect to your slides. And before we jump into PowerPoint, please make sure you hit the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell. Your support means a lot to me. And now let's get started. Create a new blank slide. What we want to do first is to fill the slide with the background image. For that, navigate up top to the home ribbon and click on the picture button. Then in the menu, we would need to select picture from file. In the file explorer, choose the image you want to use for your first slide and click insert. I'm gonna align it with the top left corner of the slide. And now I need to increase it so that it covers the entire slide area. Make sure you hold down the shift key on your keyboard to maintain the proportions. And now just grab the bottom right corner and pull it until it snaps to the bottom right corner of the slide area. If your image runs beyond the slide area on any of its sides, just cut it off with the crop tool, which you can find in the picture format tab. Now we need to create a copy of this slide. You can just put your mouse over the existing slide, then right click and select duplicate slide. First, what we would need to do on this slide is to lower the brightness of the background image. Let's select it, and then we would need to switch to the picture format tab in the upper menu. And now we need to click on this button right here that says color. In the menu, select picture color options. That's gonna open a picture format panel over on the right side. And now in the panel, we would need to expand this picture corrections tab. And in here, I'm gonna set the brightness control to -55%. Perfect, we won't need this panel anymore, so I'm gonna close it. Now let's start adding shapes to the slide. I'm gonna switch to the home tab, and in the ribbon, let's click on the shapes tool and select the rectangle with rounded corners. We can click anywhere on the slide to create the shape, and then we can just change the size. I'm gonna go up to the shape formats ribbon and set width and height to 20 centimeters. If you have different units here, that's fine. We don't need precise dimensions here. Just make sure your shape looks similar to what I have on my screen. Now let's modify the shape. I'm gonna open the format pane, which is this button up here. Then in the pane, I'm gonna expand the fill section and change the color of the shape to black. Also, it needs to set transparency to 18%. And now let's expand the line section. Change the color setting to white. Set width to 3 points. And let's also set transparency to 18%. I want to add some drop shadow to this shape, so let's switch to the Effects tab and expand the shadow section. Then we would need to open up this presets menu and select the first item, which is outer bottom right. And now let's modify some of the settings here. I'm gonna set transparency to 40%, blur to 29 points, and distance to 22 points. And now let's give some rotation to the shape. Grab this rotation icon at the top of the shape and pull it counterclockwise until about 310 degrees. And position it on the slide like this. Perfect. Let's add a few more rectangles. I'm just gonna copy this one by holding down Command-Shift on my keyboard. If you're on Windows, that would be Control-Shift for you. And you would just need to pull it to a side like this. Alright, let's update its styles. I'm gonna increase it just a tiny bit. Then in the Format Shape pane, would need to switch back to the Fill and Line tab. I'm gonna change the fill color to blue, and for that I'll click the color button. And then in the menu, I would need to select more colors. And here we can simply type the hex color in the input right here. Also, let's set transparency to 0. And in the line section, I'm gonna choose no line. And then rotate the shape to about 345 degrees. Alright, let's create one more rectangle by copying the blue one. I'm gonna hold down the Command and Shift keys on my keyboard and pull this blue rectangle to the side. Let's increase it a bit. Then I'm gonna change its color to orange. And rotate it clockwise to about 30 degrees. Let me zoom out so I can better see all elements on the slide. And I want to move them slightly. What I want to do next is to bring in an image. So once again, I'm gonna click on this picture tool in the home ribbon and select picture from file. Find the image you want to use and click insert. You might want to increase your image. Just hold down the shift key on your keyboard and pull one of the corners. And now we need to create one more rectangle with rounded corners. Switch to the Home tab, and in here let's click on the Shapes button and select the rounded corners rectangle. Click anywhere on the slide. Then in the ribbon up top, update its width and height to 19 centimeters. We're gonna use this rectangle as a cropping mask for the image, so we need to place it above the image. And also need to increase my image some more. Now make sure you first select the image and then holding down the shift key select the rectangle and switch to the Shape Format tab. Then in the ribbon over on the left side, click on Merge Shapes. And in the menu, we would need to choose Intersect. I want to adjust the visible area of my image, so I'm gonna go to the Picture Formats ribbon and activate the Crop tool. And now I can change the size of my image and move it within the crop area. Next, we would also need to add some drop shadow to the image. In the Format Shape pane over on the right, we would need to switch to the Effects tab. Then in the Shadow section, click on the Presets button and select the first option here. And now let's set transparency to 50%, blur to 20 points, and distance to 25 points. Then I'm gonna rotate the image to about 9 degrees. And also I need to adjust the positioning of the shapes on my slide. And one more element that we need to add to this slide is the title. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the text box tool from the Home ribbon up top. Then let's click anywhere outside the slide area and type some text. And I'm gonna select the text, change its font to Poppins Black. Set its size to 96 and change its color to white. Let me bring it onto the slide. Also, I want to add some drop shadow to my text, and for that I'm gonna head over to the Format Shape pane, switch to the Effects tab, then in the Presets select the outer bottom right option, and now let's change the settings here. I'm gonna set transparency to 20%, blur to 20 points, and distance is going to be 13 points. Alright, if you want to add a subtitle, you can just copy this text by holding down Command Shift and pulling this text down. That's gonna make a copy. And now we can set its size to 72. Update the font to Poppins Regular. And type what you want your subtitle to say. Let's position it like this. Perfect. Now that we have all our elements, let's animate the slide. But before we do that, we would need to select all items except for the background. Copy them and bring them onto the previous slide. Here we would need to move them outside the visible slide area. I'm I'm gonna move the title to the right side and move the subtitle even further. This will give us a beautiful animation effect when we add morph transition later on. And the rest of the items I'm gonna move to the left side. Make them smaller. Let's set this black rectangle here, then give it some rotation. And do the same with the other 3 elements. Great, now let's switch back to the second slide. Navigate to the Transitions tab in the upper menu and apply Morph Transition. You can already see the beautiful animation effects we have here. Make sure you leave duration at 2 seconds, that's default. And now let's jump back to the first slide and activate this after setting here. What this is gonna do is when we play the presentation, it's gonna switch to the next slide automatically in the specified number of seconds. I'm gonna put 1 second here. So let's play the presentation and have a look. It's looking amazing. Let's create the next slide. I'm gonna copy the slide number 2. First, let's select the image and the 2 shapes below it and move them to the right side of the slide. And then I'm gonna move the black shape to the left side. The title is going to go up here. And I want to change the size of the title to 72. And the size of the subtitle to 48. And then let's position them on the slide like this. Let me also fix the positioning of these items. Perfect. The slide is going to have 4 options that fly in on each stroke, so let's create the first one. Go ahead and copy the title by holding down the Shift and Option keys, or Shift and Alt keys if you're on Windows. Move it down to create a copy. Then select the text and bring down the font size to 36. Change the text. And now make a copy for the second item. I'm gonna speed up the video and finish all 4 options. And now let's make sure we have equal distance between each item. So please go ahead and select them all. Then switch to the Shape Format tab. And in the ribbon, click on the Align button. And in the menu, we're gonna wanna choose Distribute Vertically. Alright, let me move all items right here. And now let's animate them. Navigate to the Animations tab. And in here, you would want to apply the flying animation. Then over on the right, in the Effect options, we would need to change the direction to from left. We want each item to appear on the slide after a click, so we need to choose on click on this Start setting. Also, I want the animation to last 1 second. For the advanced settings, let's click this button that says Animation Pane. Then in the pane, we would need to expand the Effect Options tab and make sure you activate the Smooth End checkbox. Let me move my black rectangle just a bit. And now let's run the slide. Alright, we need to change the order of the animations so that the text boxes appear top to bottom. So let me quickly rearrange the items in the animations pane. is looking good now, but I want to adjust the elements on the right side a bit more. Perfect, we're ready to move on to the next slide. Create a copy of the last slide. Here we would want these text items to fly out as part of our transition animation. So I'm gonna select them all and move them here. And for more beautiful animation effects, I'm gonna place them like this. Now let me move the image to the right side. Reduce its size and give it some rotation. These two shapes will fly to the left side. Let's bring the title and the subtitle into the bottom right corner like this. And this black element is going to go right here. Play with the item's rotation. The more dynamics you give to your elements, the better. And now we need to create a new image. I'm just gonna grab a copy of this one and bring it right here. Let me straighten it up. And then increase it. To change the image inside this crop and mask area, we would need to right-click it, then hover over Change Picture from a file. And now you can just select the image you want from the File Explorer. You might need to adjust its positioning by going into Picture Format, activate the Crop tool, and now you can reposition your image inside the crop area. Great, let's rotate it and place it right here. Let me quickly adjust some of the other items on the slide. And now let's add some text content to the slide. I'm just gonna copy my title and subtitle. Change the title size to 40. Update the text. And then change the size of this text to 28. And update the content. Now we need to make sure we bring a copy of the new image and the text to the previous slide for the transition effect. So let me copy these items and paste them onto the previous slide. Let's move the image here, make it smaller and rotate it. And then move the text over here like this. Let's have a look at what we have so far. Perfect, and now we need to create the closing slide for our presentation. So once again, I'm gonna copy my last slide. Here we would need to move the image and the shapes below it outside the slide. Let's move them to the right side. I'm gonna make them smaller. We don't need this image from the previous slide transition, so I'm just gonna delete it. Give some rotation to each item. Great, and now move this shape to the left side and make it smaller. Also, we don't need these text items right here, so just remove them. And we need to bring these text items to the left side as well. The title and the subtitle will fly out this way. And now we need to add text to the slide, and to do that, I'm just gonna make a copy of these items here. Change the text. And position them on the slide like this. For the transition animation, we would need to bring a copy of these two items to the previous slide. And move the upper text box up. And the lower one is going to go down. There is also something we need to fix here. These items still have transition applied to them, and we need to remove it. Otherwise, we would have to click 4 times before we go to the next slide, even though we don't see these items inside the slide area. And now let's have a look at the transition effects we have on the last slide. Let me actually make these items a bit bigger. Perfect. And now let's run the entire presentation. Alright, as always, I hope you learned something new. Please check my other tutorials on more cool stuff you can do in PowerPoint. And don't forget to like this video, also subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future tutorials. And I'll see you in the next video. Happy presenting! Bye!